New week. Our guys are excited, obviously, for the opportunity this Saturday. To have a chance to play a very talented team like Florida at their place in the swamp. And that's an environment that many of our players had probably watched for many years growing up, and for them to get an opportunity to go compete on that stage is definitely one that all of them are looking forward to. I think for me as a coach, I'm looking forward to seeing how our guys handle the crowd noise. This will be our first road game of the year, and I'm expecting it to be loud like it always is there in a night game. And so for us to be able to operate on offense and with all the motions and snap counts and all these type of things is definitely going to be a challenge and one that we need to be prepared for. The thing about Florida stands out on tape is they're very physical, really, in all three phases of the game. They play very physical. They play hard. They're very strong at the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. Their offensive line's done a really good job this year and running the ball, and their defensive line, in my opinion, is elite. I believe this will be the best D-line that we played in the 2.5 years that I've been here. Just watching the video. They've got a bunch of guys, a lot of depth. They got a bunch of NFL guys, future NFL players over there on their defensive line. So that's something that really stands out. Coach Napier and his staff have done a good job, in my opinion, watching the first two games and just how hard their guys are playing, and not a lot of busted assignments. Guys are understand their job and are where they're supposed to be on defense. And at the end of the day, it's game 3. Early in the year, and this really is a good measuring stick to kind of find out where we are as a team, how we match up to a top team, super talented, and our message to our players is the same as it was last week. All right, we got to focus on how we play. We can't worry about the opponent, can't worry about where we're playing, can't worry about all those things. We got to worry about improving. And I did see it definitely wasn't perfect last week. Still got plenty of things to correct. But I saw a step forward from week 1 to week 2, and we're going to have to take a big step forward from week 2 to week 3, going into this type of environment versus this type of team. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
How do you simulate the environment? What do you do in practice to prepare yourself?
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, you got to change up how you do your snap count. Obviously, you can't go on a verbal cadence, but also, we'll go with a lot of crowd noise. We introduced that today, and we've got some pretty big and loud speakers out there. So our guys will hear plenty of that this week in practice. And then a lot of it's it's got to be eye contact with each other, and sometimes some hand signals, and just a little bit different than when you're playing at home. It's really more of an issue for your offense than it is for the defense. But we definitely introduced a lot of that today, and we'll have to continue doing that all week long in practice.
Jeff, does it help that you faced Florida last year? You guys got a taste of just some of the players over there?
Yeah, I don't know if that helps. I would say there's familiarity with them, but this looks like a different team through 2 weeks than maybe where they were last year at that time. I think this group is I don't know. I think they're 2 or 3 plays away from being 2-0 and being top 10 in the country. It's just maybe a different feel than it was last year at this point. But I think for us, that was almost a year ago. Early in the season last year. So they've changed, and we've changed kind of since that point. And every year is kind of a new year. But yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, playing them and going through that a little bit last year, there'll be some lessons from maybe how we played and prepared last year, and things we need to do different this year.
Any injury updates?
We do have some guys that are battling some injuries and working their way back. Hoping to get Matt Hill back this week. We'll see how he continues to progress. Antonio Greer, we're hoping to get him back. Joe, we're hoping to get him back. And we won't know till later in the week on Christian Williams. And I think that's about it for right now.
Jeff, after the Brigham Young game, You said the only thing Saturday proved is that we're not ready to be the top 25 team.
Yep,
Florida's a top 25 team.
right.
Your players probably saw that statement, so how
Right.
do you do with that?
Well, I would say that after we finished the BYU game, we were not ready to be the top 25 team. And that was 2 weeks ago, and that's the exciting part about football is each week is a new week, and you get new opportunities to grow. And we'll find out after week 3 whether we play well enough to do that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have to play very, very well to be able to compete with these guys because they're super talented. I mean, it's 4 and 5 stars at every single position. There's not a weakness position-wise, offense, defense, or special teams. So we don't have to play perfect, but we're going to have to play a lot better than we played. And so, whenever I kind of, if you had a scale of kind of 0 to 10 of maybe what our best looks like as a 10, I would say what I told the players today. I would say what I've seen first 2 games, we're at about a 5. So that's good and bad. The bad is we're not playing our best yet. The good is we have a whole nother level that we can go to. And I think those guys know that as well. And, that's our job as coaches and the players' job during the week in practice to improve those things. And all we can do is control what we can control. And I want to see us go out there and play the very best that we can play, whatever that looks like. And then at the end of the game, we'll look up and see how that matches up, against them at the end of the day.
Jeff, obviously you know Billy well. When you look on the film for the first 2 games, can you tell the stamp that he's put on this program compared to the one you faced last year?
Yeah, I would say, it's tough because I don't want to sit here and try to say something that they weren't last year and talk about, previous coaches or anything like that. But this is what I'd say. You can definitely see a team that is, they're playing extremely hard. They believe in what they're doing. And, fundamentally, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a backside tight end that's not involved with the play. I mean, he's doing his job like the game depends on it. And, Billy is a very, he's a fundamental coach. He believes in fundamentals and techniques and playing hard. Then offensively, you definitely can see his stamp and the things that he likes to do and move guys around. I think that shows up a lot. But overall, they look very disciplined to me. They're playing extremely hard. I'd say that the biggest thing that stands out right now, I know and have known that they're explosive on offense. They've got a lot of weapons there. Quarterback's an incredible, phenomenal athlete and really can score at any moment. But really watching the video after not watching them until getting a chance to this week, what stands out is their defense, I think, has a chance to be elite. They're really, really good up front. I mean, you're looking at both Utah and Kentucky that had to leave extra guys to help that offensive line and chip those defensive ends. And when they didn't, the quarterback got hit. And so I think that stands out pretty quick. I think they're going to be a really, really strong team as the year continues.
What are the ties between you and your family and Billy?
Yeah, so actually I met Billy whenever I was in high school. He was one of the quarterbacks at Furman, and I went on my official visit to Furman. I was being recruited by Furman, and I met Billy there for the first time. And then, whenever I finished at Clemson and went on and coached high school ball for a few years and was coaching at Presbyterian College for my first college season in 2007, Billy was coaching at Clemson. He'd started there as a graduate assistant and moved up as an assistant coach. My dad was coaching at Clemson at the time, and Billy was the recruiting coordinator. And then whenever I came to Clemson in 2008 as a GA, and Billy was the recruiting coordinator and tight ends coach. And then in the middle of that season is when Coach Sweeney got elevated to head coach, and Billy became the offensive coordinator. And I moved on full time to receivers coach. So I worked with him full time there for those 2 seasons. And really, I learned a lot from Billy as a coach, but I probably learned even more about recruiting because he was the recruiting coordinator. And then I took over as a recruiting coordinator when he moved up to offensive coordinator. So whenever all the coaches went home, there were many, many late nights that he and I just would sit in the office and talk about, things we can do in recruiting and strategy and all these things. And the other thing, I have a lot of respect for Billy because, after Coach Sweeney's second year there at Clemson, we lost to South Florida in the bowl game. And you know, Coach Sweeney had to just kind of change some things up on the offensive staff and made a change. And I kind of watched Billy, you know, as he kind of went back and kind of built back his career and did it in an incredible way. Obviously, working at Alabama and going on and working at Colorado State, and then at Arizona State, and then at Louisiana. You know, it's one thing as a coach maybe just to kind of have success and move your way all the way to the top. But, you know, Billy, you know, did really well at Clemson, then had to restart and kind of, you know, recreate his path. And I think that says a lot about, you know, his resilience, who he is as a person. And, you know, I think he's going to be very successful at Florida because of he's very process-oriented. He's kept every handout and every note from every meeting that he's been in, you know, since he was a GA at Clemson. I've seen his notebooks from Bama. I mean, he has every single thing, and he's meticulous. And so I'm not surprised to see that he's worked his way up, you know, to one of the best jobs in the country there at Florida, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job in his career.